All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to This, Not That, your marketing experts that are showing and sharing their expertise of things to do with your marketing and things not to do. I'm Elisa Connor. I own Elisa Connor Consulting. And for about the past 20 years, I've been helping entrepreneurs refine their email marketing so that they can attract new clients, build relationships, and build long term clients so they don't have to always go out and find new ones. And my co-host is Anka Herman.
And I've been in the software industry for 20 plus 25 years, and I help tech coaches tame the tech monster so they can deliver their programs online without tech headaches.
And we created this program because we often are seeing the same things. And this is such an important collaboration for me. I just love having somebody else that is in the same industry and can relate to some of the things that we see often people do that we just kind of cringe and go, oh, please don't do that. Let us help you. And so that's why we created the show. And the title, This, Not That, is simply like, here's the things to do and here's the things to avoid. And so today's topic is specifically about turning strangers into customers. And I know a lot of people struggle with getting their name out there and trying to get traction with their newer programs. And I focus specifically with second act entrepreneurs. And a lot of times those entrepreneurs, and I'm sure Anka would agree, is when they're walking into that entrepreneurial role, especially if they've had a role in corporate or another career, they're not accustomed to filling all of the roles that are required as an entrepreneur. And we're going to talk about that in another episode. But one of the things that people really struggle with, and I know I struggled with this, and Anka, you can chime in, is trying to put yourself out there in an appropriate way that is attractive to people versus repel people. And we tried all of the things. And so some of the things that we have seen, and I'm sure you can relate, we're going to dive into. So Anka, do you want to start us off on some of the things like that you should not do when you're trying to connect with people?
Yeah, I think there's so many people like so many things you shouldn't. And I think the problem with it is to find that balance, right? Because if you the one thing that I think everybody hates and everybody kind of agrees that you shouldn't do it is to sort of pounce on people the moment you meet them. Right. So hi, when there's literally no space between hi and do you want to buy my stuff? And it can be phrased politely, but even if somebody tries to shove their lead magnet down my throat the moment we meet, it's like it doesn't go down well, and if you observe yourself, you'll quickly notice, like, yeah, nobody likes that. And I think to find that balance between being too pushy and feeling like a used car salesperson, right? Versus, because on the other end, there's like, if you just post inspiring things and be just lovely online, you have a lot of friends, but you have no clients. And I think the difficulty is to find that balance, to actually build the relationships and and talk about your offers without having that. And I think people really struggle with that. Some people go too far one way, and some people go too far the other way, depending also who they listen to, like who's
Exactly.
teaching
And
their follow.
we're going to have some tips to overcome that quickly. But I think the other thing is that a lot of times when we are moving into entrepreneurship, and I work with a lot of coaches, I know you do too, is we're really excited about all of the things that we're learning. And so we tend to come at things from a collegiate level of learning. Like, we have spent a lot of time, we're really deeply immersed in what we know and in the tactics we're learning. And maybe you've gone through a coaching certification program. So you're super excited about all of those things. And what we forget is that the people that we want to work with are more at a kindergarten level. It's not because they're not smart. It's not because they aren't aware. It's because they're busy, they're distracted, and they have other things to think about. And so when we start talking at college level and they're at kindergarten level, you've lost them. And they will just tune out as quickly as possible because, frankly, nobody wants to feel dumb. Like, I know if somebody's talking to me at a level and I don't understand, I'm immediately turned off. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what you're saying. And my brain is so full right now that I'm not going to take the time to interpret whatever it is language you're speaking. And so I just tune out and tune off. And you brought up such a great example when we were brainstorming this ahead of time. And it's like when you go to a cocktail party, for example, or you're at an event, like I think the example you used was a wedding, and you're at a cocktail party or a wedding and somebody comes up and they just start, I think of like the lawyerly version of somebody with their, their pipe, and they think they're just so I'm so smart and I'm going to talk about all the lawyer things in the world, and you're just like, immediately your eyes are rolling into the back of your head and you're like, how can I get out of here? There's no faster method for me to get out of here. And so then you find that like the first excuse you can come up with to walk away, like you see somebody else, you need to go to the bathroom, whatever it is, because it's such a turnoff. Yet as business owners, we almost wear that like a badge of honor. We have certifications, we have whatever it is, and we know all the things. Well, it's super overwhelming for our customers. And so putting ourselves in their shoes and thinking about, okay, what is it that they know, and where are they right now, like in this journey? Because you're at this level of mastery, like you are at a level where you're really good at what you do, and they're at a level of where you possibly were like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. And if somebody would have come to you with all the knowledge you have and started talking about all the fix-its, you would have been like,
dump them at you, right?
Exactly. So the other thing that I'm sure people get, other than like pouncing really quick, and this can happen, one of the things you brought up was in a group. Like if you are part of other groups on LinkedIn, on Facebook, I think those are the two platforms I can think of that actually have groups. I'm sure there's like Twitch and a couple other things, but it's like if you're in somebody else's group and you just go in there, I've had this happen to me. I know it's happened in your group, and you become part of the group, and then you just start pouncing on those people's members with your offer, with your freebie, with whatever. That's not only disrespectful to the group owner, but that's very disrespectful to the group members. And I've even had it happen to me in a group I've been in that was a paid benefit to a program I bought. And I was like, the people that own this group know you're doing this, because you're basically selling the same thing that they sell you to be into this group. And I just thought, God, that's really quite snarky. So,
I mean, like, see, the problem is people often think, oh, I'm just trying to be helpful, right? So, and I think that is where you just have to develop a little bit of sensitivity, right? Like what happened in my group is some new member joined. I posted a welcome post, and this person went out and came out and introduced herself, right? And all of a sudden, she was saying some things like, oh, yeah, no, I've got so many things going on. And next thing you know, there was a comment from this other group member saying, oh, I've got this lead magnet about time management. And I was like, if that happened to me in somebody else's, if that happens to me in somebody else's group, I might leave the group, right? Mm-hmm. Because I don't know yet what the vibe is. I don't know yet that isn't normal, right? So, and you certainly won't be popular with the group owner, right? So it's like, it isn't, you can be helpful in other ways. You can leave a comment and open up that conversation, right? So there is this step in between, this good old slow down to speed up, and actually to be genuinely curious rather than, what you were saying before, like assuming. And what I find is really off-putting when something comes with where the agenda is just barely hidden, right? When somebody kind of sends you a Facebook like friend request or something and they go, hi, lovely to connect. So how is business going?
Yeah.
Like, that's not like even offering anything, but well, that is like such thinly disguised, like, mm-hmm. Okay, so you trying to get me to say what I'm struggling with so you can pounce on me with your stuff, right? Yep. And again, there's like, who are you? I've not even met you yet. Like, I don't even know, like, what makes you think I share and even if you try and turn it around and make it like, polish it a bit and say, what are you excited about right now? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, you go, like, you try and get out of me what my goals, aspirations, challenges are. And I'm like, who the hell are you to deserve that level of trust?
Yeah.
Right?
You don't know me. Exactly. And I think the other piece of that is that the people that are doing that are making it harder for the authentic people to reach out and have those actual conversations. For example, like if somebody reached out to me and wanted help with their email marketing, and they really, or they weren't even talking about email. They were talking about not having enough time to market their business. And they brought that to me. That's one thing, and it's an authentic conversation. But for me to go after them and say, hey, you know why you don't have enough business? It's because you're not sending enough emails. Well, that is such a turnoff to them that they're not going to want to have the conversations with the people that can actually help them improve their business. And so then it becomes, I only get business from referrals. Well, the reason you're only getting business from referrals is because you have a harder journey to toe, because there are people out there, for example, on LinkedIn, I'm sure you get these constantly like I do. It's typically people right now, it's virtual assistants. I'm just going to say I probably get 5 virtual assistant connections / messages a week. And it always starts out with like something like that. Like, how busy are you? Okay, well, can we send you a quote? I'm like, no. Like, if I want a virtual assistant, I'm going to go find one. I don't need you. And so it just becomes really gross. And I tell you this as a warning, as like, be as far away from that as possible, because otherwise you're clumped with those people and then no one wants to have a conversation with you. So anyway, we have 3 tips because we want to wrap up this episode and not keep it too long. We're trying to be respectful of everybody's time and just offer some value. So 3 tips for you to actually do this right. And we kind of started to dive into that. But the first one is just really to treat people the way you want to be treated. And so if somebody popped into your inbox and was like, hey, what's your biggest problem right now? You'd be like, none of your damn business. And so like, you don't want to do that to other people. And so just like living by the golden rule of really trying to be helpful, but not pushy. And like Anka said, slow down to speed up. And so often we think that we can do things online that we would never do in person. And so, for example, if you were at a wedding, you wouldn't walk up and be like, hi, I'm Lisa. And, I know the groom, whoever. And then you'd be like, here's my business card. They'd be all, what the hell? Like, I'm at a wedding. I don't want your business card. And so, but we try to do that online. And so just like Anka said, it's people doing business with people. And so when you treat people the way you want to be treated, the business will come because the respect is earned and the authenticity is there for who you are and what you do. And it doesn't feel faked or forged. And so many people don't want to do that. Okay, Anka, dive into number 2.
That leads directly into number 2, right? Because there's something that I see a lot where, when you look about how you can interact, on social media platforms, especially, there's like, okay, you can post your own content and you want to interact with other people's content, right? And, in your own comments, but then also in other people's, interact with other people on their posts. So they're basically the 2 ways that you can use a social media platform. So many times people will go, yeah, I'll just post. Like, I don't have time to fuck around on social media. Like, I have busy things. Like, I have things to do, right? Now, I want to throw in there to say, well, if you only have time for one of the 2, don't post. Because because there's 2 parts to it. One is a really mechanical part, where if you look at algorithms, how they, like, if you look at social media, how they work and how they function, what the objective is they want to really make sure that they live on advertising. We're the product, we're not the client. So they don't care about you and your business or anything. They want people on their platform. So they go through great lengths to make sure that what people get to see is relevant and is interesting to them, right? So now when you come along and the post comes along and there's been no connection between the 2, why would you bother?
Yeah.
So basically, which means if there's no connection between you and that other person, they're not going to even get to see your posts, right? So if you post without interacting with anybody, simply technically, mechanically, people won't get to see your stuff, right? Number one. If by chance somebody gets to see your thing, they're not going to care. Because if you observe yourself scrolling, there's like, yeah, whatever, so and so video, whatever, don't know who that is. Oh, wait, what? What did Elisa say? Like literally, observe yourself scrolling. You will stop when there is something that kind of catches your interest. And even there, you're going to look who it's from. So the first and initially, perhaps even only job you have is to get yourself in a position where somebody scrolls and your name somehow rings a bell because they've seen a lovely comment, you've said something nice, you've been supportive, so they recognize your name. Like if that's your first step, they're more likely to accept your connection request, they're more likely to see and be interested in your content. So content first, content second, like connection, engagement first. And if you really think you only have time for one, well then don't bother posting.
Yep. And I 100% agree on that. And I actually just want to add on a little tidbit here, algorithm wise, whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, probably not YouTube, but YouTube's a little different, but LinkedIn, any of those major platforms that we all try to use, if you are actually engaging on those people's posts and you are becoming familiar to them, this is a great way, one, to create new connections with people that could be your target market, your ideal audience, but two, you'll start showing up in not only their news feed, but in the feed of the people that they follow, because that's the way the algorithm works. So if you're wanting to expand your audience, regardless of platform, engaging is one of the best things you can do. And people always get consumed with, I don't have enough followers. I don't have enough people that are connections or whatever. And so they just randomly connect with all of these people. Well, if none of those people become customers, what is the point? You have a bunch of followers and a bunch of people that are, tuning into what you do. But if they never buy from you because they're not your clients, you have wasted effort. And so I just wanted to add to this, like, if you're going to go engage, make it purposeful. Think about like how that's going to fit into the big plan. And it's not that I connect with people all the time. Like every connection is somebody that's going to become a follower of mine, but there is usually a strategy behind who I connect to. And whether that's like, they have an audience that's going to be great for the podcast, or they have an audience that is probably connected to the people that I need to be connected to. And so just putting a little bit of thought process behind that, so you're not just randomly connecting with people and you're actually building relationships with people that could, ultimately become clients. That's a really important factor. And does that mean you can only connect with people that could become clients? No, absolutely not. But just being intentional about those connections and those interactions when you are going to be spending your time doing them. And then the other thing that I wanted to add in there is like, everybody's like, I don't have time. In like 15 minutes, I can go interact with 20 to 25 accounts, probably more. Like, so if you don't have 15 minutes in your day to do marketing and create relationships, you probably got a problem. And so I want to like eliminate that excuse that I don't have time, because it's not true. And it takes like zero time to go and leave comments. I know that you and I have a couple cohorts that we're in, and now we've all become friends because we are interacting with each other and we're learning about each other's businesses. And it's a really it's true, authentic relationship building, which is it seems like it's very rare in our world. And so when you become that person, people will notice who you are and they will remember who you are because you're authentically connecting with them and leaving a comment on purpose. Okay, so diving into number 3, and this is a biggie. You guys aren't going to like, you're probably not going to like this one. But number 3 is listen more than you talk. Because so often we are talking at our audience, and Anka and I both, we talked before this live broadcast, and I said, how many times, because I already knew it was not an answer of have you ever, it was how many times have you run into a course creator, for example, because we both work with course creators, that has spent hours, months, weeks, days, years creating their course content, and then nobody buys it. And it's because they have done no listening. They haven't talked to their audience and listened to them to see what their problem was, and they just put everything they wanted in the course, and then they're flabbergasted and sad that nobody's bought it. And I was like, well, you can't just create content. Like, we live in a content rich world right now. So if you're just creating content to create content, the chances that somebody's going to buy it are slim to none.
Absolutely. And I think this is sort of getting worse in a sense, right? Where there's more content freely available. So I think it's always been important to have that connection to really get to understand the people that you're out to serve and to know how they see their problems. Because we all have a little bit of expert's curse, like what is really obvious to us might not be for other people, and the way we talk about a problem isn't how they talk about the problem. And if that's not, you said it at the beginning, like, if you talk to me as if like, and I don't know what on earth you're on about, I'm gonna tune out, So it's like, it's more crucial than ever to have that listening ear, to really be clear on what it is that what problems other people, like your potential clients, are looking to get solved. And only then you want to build something, right? Because otherwise it's just, well, if you have way too much money and way too much time to waste, then by all means go. But it's like, you'd be much, much better off building something that, like solving, I would say, like solving an observed problem rather than an imagined one. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more likely to succeed.
Well, and it's more likely also that you're going to get the head nods of, oh my gosh, how did they know that? How do they know? Mm-hmm. So, okay, so just a quick wrap. So you know those 3 tips and how to implement them. I just like to wrap up and let you know in case you missed one. But number 1 is just to follow the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Number 2 was to engage and post. Cannot talk about this enough. Make sure you're engaging as much as you're posting. In fact, engaging more. And then last but not least is to listen more than you talk. Now, if this has been enlightening to you and you learned something from this, boy, do we have a treat for you. Anka and I and 4 other experts have partnered to create an audio summit on this very topic. And that is how to turn strangers into customers. So if you are wanting to put some more knowledge into your brain, whether you're walking, working out, driving in the car, or taking the train, there is a sign up link to.
I'm just going to pop it in the chat in a second.
Okay. Yep. There is a sign up link for this free event. You just go and you sign up, and it starts next week.
Yep. Registration is open now, but the fun starts next week.
And you will get all kinds of fun emails in your inbox that remind you of what content is coming that day. And there is a jam-packed lineup. So you guys are not going to want to miss this. And I will also add the link to the description after we're done here for the video. So it'll be in the comments and it'll be in the description, whichever one you want to grab. But we would love to see you inside. So
absolutely.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week with a new topic of this and that. If you have a topic that you'd like for us to cover in the marketing world, that's something you're struggling with, leave it in the comments and you could be featured on our next show. In the meantime, take care, be well, and stay safe.